Biofriendly podcast. It's the Biofriendly podcast.
Anyway,
Are we actually live now?
We're actually live.
We're actually live. So welcome.
This is the real show. All that jibber jabber before, that was part of the Biofriendly podcast tailgate. That's a new feature that should draw you in to participate in the podcast, which is we start going live on YouTube and Facebook, and there's a little time where anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Like anything.
Actually,
could
if you watch us live on either Facebook Live or YouTube Live, then you even get to see the mistakes.
You do.
Because we record this sucker live to tape. So what you hear on the podcast is the live recording.
We do it
for
live.
the most part. I mean, if there's if there's a swear word, it gets edited out, things like that. And I never do that. If there are any if there are things that are inappropriate for the broad audience that are said, then we cut them out.
We do.
But if you're listening,
we bleep them.
But if you're listening live and going on either YouTube Live or Facebook Live, and you can find those by following us on Twitter? On
Twitter, yeah. We got Biofriendly 1, which we're about to get Biofriendly. That's going to be a big win for us.
Exciting.
I'm still waiting for Twitter to help me out with that.
Finalize that?
Yeah, but you can find us on Biofriendly Planet Magazine on Facebook. We have the Painless Green, which is our exclusive environmental group on Facebook, so you should join that.
Or you can follow us on YouTube at Biofriendly Planet.
That's right.
And if you do all those things, then one of them you'll get to see us live.
Exactly.
And if you see us live, you get to see the
real deal.
The bad words.
That's true.
You get to hear
That's true.
You get to hear the bad words. You get to hear the stuff that's inappropriate that the people say you can't say that on television.
Should we start putting a live and uncensored to
and
really
uncensored.
draw out the clickbait?
Absolutely.
Live.
Absolutely. And also you get to ask questions and say things on the old chat because we have Elise here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Elise. Hi, Elise. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yay. Good.
Yeah. So at least make sure that all of our live stuff gets.
Yeah.
And we'll keep doing this for a while until enough people show up, and then we'll stop doing this at the beginning of every episode.
Well, like we said, we're going to be the Joe Rogan of the green space.
Okay.
That's the plan. We're going to get to a place where literally people go, well, there's only one podcast
I
about
want people to say
environmentalism.
Joe Rogan is the biofriendly podcast of the not biofriendly space.
Then it goes the other way around.
He's like the biofriendly podcast of not green.
Yeah, right. People are like, oh, yeah, I listen to the Biofriendly podcast. What do you listen to? I listen to Joe Rogan. Who's that? Oh, he's like the Biofriendly podcast of not green podcasts.
Exactly. That's all. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for a different level.
I like it.
Yeah.
Our sound waves are good. We're looking good. We're live.
As per usual, I feel like my sound waves are smaller than yours. So either you've got to stop yelling in the microphone.
I'm so sorry.
or I've got to start yelling in the microphone.
The rest of the show will all just be I'll be very calm, and I want you to just shout.
Step one, dude.
Chill out.
Chill out.
Chill out.
No. Don't chill out, Jacob. That's not what the audience wants from you. That's a lie. You be you. You be you, boo.
All right, guys. How's everybody doing? I feel like it hasn't been that long since we've all been together, but it feels like it's been a long time.
Well, you and I pre-recorded one of these because we had to go to a convention.
Yeah.
So we were gone last week.
Gone.
So everybody heard the Mark Trexler episode. That happened before.
Right.
And you and I have not done this for a minute. So we've forgotten how to podcast.
Yes. I have 0 subjects today.
Wow.
No.
All right.
Kidding.
Well, then let's just
call it.
That's the end of the podcast.
Thank you for joining us on the Biofriendly podcast.
Let's crowdsource the subject. Let's just see if somebody watching
Clayton, what do you want to talk about?
Clayton, you want to talk about film? No, I actually do have a subject, and it kind of came about. Should we just jump in? Should we jump in the subject? Okay.
Sorry. I'm clearing my throat. How embarrassing.
Well, no, what I feel bad for is you didn't get water. You usually have a cup of water here.
Well, we can just, when you're rolling,
okay.
I'm going to sneak out.
Okay.
And people are going to see that
you want
live
me to get you water?
on the Biofriendly podcast.
Oh, Elise offered to get you water.
Oh, that's okay.
Do you have a cup?
I have a cup in my office with the door closed.
Do you want ice?
No, just straight.
Just straight water.
I like my water.
Straight water.
Straight water.
I like my water.
Don't cut it with anything. Now she's got to get out of her mess of cables. That's one of the challenges of podcasting is everything. You've got so many cables and cords. There's some wireless things, but for the most part, we're still plugged in.
We are.
But anyway.
What are we talking about, though,
We're going to talk about, this was prompted because you and I had to go to a convention, and we had to go to a city that some people may have heard of. I don't know if everybody's heard of it, but it's called Las Vegas.
Where is that?
It's in a state called Nevada.
Is that one of the 50 states, or is that a territory?
It's a territory.
Okay. Okay.
So we had to go.
So it's like Guam.
Yes, it's like Guam.
Okay.
Exactly like Guam.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Guam, America. Which is actually what Nevada is.
They have the best casinos.
They do.
Here comes
You
your
are
beverage.
an angel of music. Thank you so much. Amazing.
If you tune in live, that'll be the first time you've ever seen Elise's arm. That's amazing.
It's an honor.
It's an honor.
It's an honor to have seen her arm.
Yes,
Not many people have.
Because she's a
Clayton
mystery.
wants to get the water. Oh, I'm sorry, Clayton.
Clayton wants to get an arm.
Sorry, not Clayton. I still don't believe that's Clayton.
I 100% know that's Derek.
That's Derek saying he's Clayton.
Because Clayton does not know the password for the Good Cops TV account.
And if he did, he would have definitely forgotten it. Derek would be like, yeah, Clayton, log in. Here's all the information. And then the next day, Clayton would be like, hey, Derek, did you send me the information? Yes, I sent it to you yesterday. And Clayton would be like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Yes, well, okay, send it again. He'll send it again. And then 10 days later, Derek, can you send me the information? This is how, that's why I know it's Derek.
And we know it's Derek.
Yeah.
So, but back to Las Vegas, the city that we went to. What's, besides casinos, what is Las Vegas known for, Noel?
The heat.
The heat.
Elise
didn't even give a shit.
She didn't get it.
She was so. She's like, there's no joke here. There's no other answer.
There's nothing funny here. It's
I was
just.
going to say men in Speedos, but I guess that's not.
Well, that's the third thing.
That's the third
It's
thing.
casinos, heat, and men in Speedos.
Men in Speedos.
Yeah. Actually, they are known for that too.
Yeah.
But not us. We weren't in Speedos when we went.
No, we
were
wore
very respectable.
We wore respectful pajamas.
1920s pajamas to the pool.
Typical.
But it's known for heat. And so while we were driving back, Noel and I started talking about kind of setting up a city in an environment that is not that
Conducive to human life.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And what's required is air conditioning.
Yes, lots of it.
Lots of air conditioning.
Look, while we were there, it was 100, at moments like 110.
110.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's hot. That's hot.
It's hot.
And it's like, there are places around this country where you get to those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
But they don't often stay there.
Right.
Like they'll get up there and then they'll
come back down. Sun goes down.
Yeah.
But Vegas.
But there are also places in this country, particularly in the desert, and there's a reason why it's desert, and so few things can live out there. And then in those places, it's 100 some odd, and then it stays. At nighttime, it was 101.
101.
Didn't feel as bad because you were out, because there was no sun beating on you, and then
Yeah.
That was happening.
And you'd had apple juice and you'd cool down.
I'd had apple juice.
I'd had like 3 or 4 apple juices.
Apple juice on the rocks.
And that cooled me down. Yeah. So you'd be walking around and you'd be like, it's not that bad, but it's still hot. It's hot.
It's hot.
And so you want to get back inside a building so you can feel that blast of Arctic air and feel comfortable again. Right.
Yeah. And it is lovely once you're inside those buildings.
It's absolutely lovely.
Well conditioned. Yeah.
But not to make this entire episode a bummer run, because it's not going to be a bummer run.
Oh, let's do it.
Well, we got
Let's have the most bummer episode in the history of the Biofriendly podcast.
Wah, wah, wah. This is the problem is we have got a little bit too dependent on air conditioning, and it has caused a lot of problems, and it continues to cause problems, and that's why we're talking about air conditioning.
Yeah,
today.
it definitely contributes to global warming for sure.
Yes, yes,
because in a big way.
People, and let's talk recently. Portland, the Pacific Northwest, and Seattle, they had like a heat wave.
An unbelievable heat wave.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And 87% of homes in the United States are air conditioned. But in parts of the world like that, a lot of them don't have air conditioning because they
don't need it.
They never needed it.
Right.
So this is an instance where I'm sure there were a lot of people in that part of the country when the heat wave came that they were just miserable because they could not cool their house down.
Well, when it's 120 degrees and you'd have no
way of cooling
concept
down.
of it. Yeah, it's
a nightmare.
It's crazy. It's like in Texas when it snows for several days. And then the power goes down. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is climate change.
Yeah, and that's climate change. And so that's why we got a problem. But I brought here today, I saw fitting once we got home from the trip, there was an article on The Guardian, which is a very well-known site, that said the cost of cooling, how air conditioning is heating up the world. So that's basically, it said the widespread reliance on air conditioning in the U.S. is explored in, it's talking about a book. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the Biofriendly podcast, we will randomly promote your book if you happen to have the title of an article that Jacob found.
It never does that. It said the name of the book at the very opening
I'm going to
statement.
say this every single time this happens. Jacob, are you reading your research before you come on the show, or are you just picking headlines like, oh, we'll talk about this, and grabbing it?
What was the question?
Okay.
No, the truth
So
is,
whose book are we promoting,
the
Jacob?
truth is, okay, so a guy named Eric Dean Wilson wrote a book called After Cooling on Freon, Global Warming, and the Terrible Cost of Comfort.
Oh.
You're welcome for the shout out, Eric Dean Wilson.
Were there highlights of it mentioned in the
Yeah. So anyway, the reason why, hey, no calls. That's probably Eric Dean Wilson. Just
Eric's like, hey, thanks for the shout out, guys.
shout out for our book. My sales went through the roof. Now, the reason why that happens is I usually have like 12 different articles that I've read before the podcast, and I think I'm on the one that has the intro that I wanted to start with, and I'm like, oh no, I'm on the wrong one. And so anyway.
And so we're in an article that's not necessarily the one you were hoping to jump into right
Exactly.
Well, since you're here.
Since I'm here, the modern refrigerant, gas in fridges, freezers, and air conditioners was first introduced in the 1930s.
Yes.
Chlorofluorocarbons, better known as Freon.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so the CFCs.
Yeah.
So that was like...
Which caused us so many ozone layer problems years ago.
And so they've gone from the chlorofluorocarbons to the hydrofluorocarbons to now just fluorocarbons.
Yes.
So apparently by 2020, see, I did do my reading, by 2020, they're going to phase out all hydrofluorocarbon ones that were the older models because of the ozone problems.
Yeah.
Now all modern refrigerants and air conditioning and cooling is just fluorocarbons.
And they'll figure out a way to make something even better than that.
They will. They will. And that's the good news before we talk about the bad news, which is people are working on good stuff.
It's such an interesting back and forth, right? So technology gets us into this problem.
Yeah.
But it also opens up Pandora's box. Now is that the right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Once we've done that and we're walking in the world of air conditioning.
Yeah.
We're never going. People aren't going back.
No,
we're not going back. So it's like we're not throwing our cell phones away. It's like once we've done that, we've done it.
Yeah,
it's happened. Technology
you can't convince people.
It's done.
And you want to know who you can't convince?
Who?
Me.
That's right.
Because I lived for 20 years without central air.
Well, now that you have it.
And now I have it.
Now that you've flown first class.
I don't know if I'll ever be the same. I'll never be the same. Yeah. Because I'm going to go on a little rant here, okay?
Please.
Because, so in Los Angeles, obviously, it's hard to live because it's expensive. And so we always lived in apartments that had the little box units, the little box AC units. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So when you get older and you have kids and your house is more crowded, the summers get hot and you cook in there. So we had everything from cold packs in the freezer that before bed we would wrap around our necks. We would sometimes sleep in the living room with the fan in front of the box unit. So years of my life I spent baking in an apartment.
Yeah.
And
I like your creativity.
We had a lot of creativity. Yeah. Showers before bed were key.
Yeah.
Jump in the shower, get like cold water on your skin, and do not towel dry. Like let the air hit you.
Yeah,
cold. And then you would totally.
These are great tips.
Yeah, these are great. These are great tips. If you live in a hot apartment or you live in a hot place that doesn't, I'm telling you, quick shower before bed, ice cold water, do not towel dry, let your body cool in the air. Then switch out your comforters and make sure you're doing like a sheet and nothing else. Then cold packs in the freezer.
Do you sleep in the nude?
I did before I had children. I miss those days. I used to. That's going to make a triumphant return once they're out of the house. That's for sure. To paint a very beautiful image for everybody who's listening.
Derek or Clayton says you made a homemade AC, right, Jacob?
Yes, I did. We totally made some homemade ACs. We made swamp coolers, which were like you get coolers, you put ice in them, you blow, all that kind of stuff. So I had about 18 box fans in my house blowing like in a literally, when you're a kid and you're in a pool and you all go in a circle and you make a whirlpool. Yeah. My house was like that, but with fans.
I love it.
Just get carried around in a circle. Anyway, I know I'm saying way too much, but what I'm saying is we did that for so long. And then just last year we moved into a house. It had central air. And I was like, I'm never going back.
No.
Never. No. I will never live like the animal that I was before.
Right. So now imagine telling people in Las Vegas, we're turning off the air conditioners in the casino.
Well, first of all, they wouldn't survive. I don't think.
They would. Out there, they'd probably die. Most of them would die.
Yeah. Now, that's the bummer run, guys. Yeah. So if you lose AC in Las Vegas, raise an apple juice because that's it.
Raise your apple juice on the rocks.
Because that's it, guys. It's over.
Oh, my God. I mean, look. You look at what happened to the power grid in Texas with the freeze, right? If something like that were to happen in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And you were out for, it's not, look, it was hot in New York when they had that power outage some years back and people had to figure that out, but it's not the same. It's not like 120 is not the same.
It's not the same.
It gets hot enough and people die.
Yeah. It actually happened. Oh, go ahead.
No, there's a reason why nobody lived there before.
Yeah.
Like it used to be that you settled where you could survive. People lived in places where they could actually survive. You were near water. You were usually in a place that was fairly temperate, or if it wasn't temperate, you had some way to cool off or warm up. Yeah. Right. And that's where people lived. That's what they did. And now it's technology is wonderful. It's made it so now we can have more people living on this planet. Yeah. Because you can have air conditioning, and technology has made it so that we can expand and go to different places and essentially terraform our own planet. We talk about terraforming Mars, and we've sort of terraformed Earth. Yeah. Sort of. Yeah. But like that does set up the problem that now that we've done it, we can't undo it. Yeah. And so the only answer is better technology. Yeah. Really? Yeah. To the problem. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I recently saw a video, and you probably already knew this because you're the king of information. I wouldn't say useless because it's useful. You have a lot of information. Some of it's pretty useless. My brain's feeling a little slow today. I'm doing the thing where you don't eat breakfast. Mm-hmm.
I can't tell at all.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like Pandora's box. Wait, I mean that, right? And it takes me 12 seconds for my brain to catch up and go, yes.
Yes, that's correct. You were thinking of the music streaming app. You're like, Pandora. No, that's an app that I get music on.
Anyways, I've learned the importance of eating less.
Yes.
And having like less meals and then letting your body kind of settle in on those meals. Yeah. And I'm starting that today.
Yeah, and I'm eating all the meals that he's not eating.
So Jacob's eating my meals. So anyways, I'm a little, I think it's supposed to balance out in a few weeks, and then I'll be back to back to good shape.
So join us in a couple weeks when Noel's back.
But right now, I may say some idiotic things.
You're doing fine.
I say idiotic things every episode of podcast. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. I mean, that's kind of why you tune into the show, I think. It's because we say idiotic things.
Yeah. So if I'm a little slow or stupid or say something that makes no sense, my apologies.
Yeah. But they love it. They I'm sure Derek/Clayton is loving it too.
They are having a blast.
They're having a blast.
He has a problem or a situation or... What is a solution? That's what it is.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, he has a solution?
So Jacob just goes into Vegas and sells his homemade AC units.
Oh.
And the problem would be solved.
I could go in and try to sell everybody in Vegas swamp coolers that I made. They'd love it.
So what did you put in your swamp coolers? How did you make it work?
It was ice, and it was it had like a PVC pipe. And so you had ice, water, but I'm drawing a blank on it, but you had to have, the air had to make sure that it was pushed through the tube into the cooler, get it cold, and then it came out the other end again. But it was all about how long the air sat into that space. I'm drawing a blank on something.
That would be wonderful. I think it would be you'd probably better off to just leave the air conditioners on because you'd have to create the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
So making all of that ice would probably use a lot more energy than just cooling the air.
And I don't think, even though that we did that out of desperation, it never really
worked.
It never really did what you want it to do, right? You go over by the box unit, that works because it's cold. Yeah. You get by the other one, and it's kind of like somebody who had a breath mint breathing on you. I think there's a Mentos. Nice. I think there's a Mentos chill.
Oh boy.
No, but anyway, that's how we did it. But again, these were desperate measures, and I mean, I've got some other lists on here of ways to cool down and help with that. But what I was going to say about the useless facts, because tangent. We're so far. Tulare Lake or Tulare Basin, or I can't remember what it was. There used to be...
That's in Northern California,
right? Well, no, there was... So just north of L.A., there used to be, like 150 years ago, this massive... Or 200 years ago, this massive lake that was this whole area. It was very shallow, but it was this... At one point, it was the size of Tahoe. Yeah. And it was... They had articles back in like the 1850s where they were like, more of the lake dried up, which opened up valuable real estate. And it was like, they were like, what a mindset change it was back then, which was, we're looking to settle and put more places. What made me think of it was you were talking about traveling through the country, and you find an area and you go, well, we can't stay here. It's not meant for humans.
Right.
But the mindset has changed so much that back then, here's water, a lake, an ecosystem where birds and plants and all stuff. Yeah. And as it's drying up and they're planting more wheat, they're like, we can farm here finally, and we can live here finally.
Look how great it is.
And they killed the lake. They killed it. It doesn't exist. There was a photo of what it used to look like and what it looks like now. And it was literally, it's just towns. It's just grid farmland, cities and all stuff. And it used to be this gloriously huge water source.
Yeah, if it was shallow. It was shallow. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a glorious water source. But when they're shallow like that, they often don't.
Okay.
They don't.
It had been there for thousands of years.
Yeah, possibly.
I love it. Noel's even skeptical about the fact that I have. No, but it's. I'll find the.
No,
the video.
Look, I hear you. But when like in Australia, they have Lake Eyre, right?
Yeah.
Which is a gigantic lake. Should be a gigantic lake. I mean, it's like bigger than it's like massive, right?
Yeah.
But because it's only at its best a foot and a half deep, it goes away, and then there's crazy storms that come, and then it'll be there for 100 years, and then it'll disappear,
and then it goes away again.
And then it'll be there for 100 years and it'll disappear. I'm not saying that we weren't involved in getting rid of it. I mean, if you're filling it up with people and crops and stuff that's sucking it up, plus people use water, so they take the water out of it. Yeah. So I'm not saying that we didn't contribute. I'm certain that we did. I'm just saying that when it's a shallow lake like that, it might take up a lot of land, but that doesn't mean that it was a terrific.
It was a terrific lake,
like Tahoe as an example.
Yeah,
Tahoe used to be called the bottomless lake because it is
deep,
crazy deep. There's a reason that there's a monster that lives in it.
Yes,
because only a monster can only live in something that has somewhere to hide.
Yeah,
and it's deep enough that the Tahoe monster can hide. The Tahoe monster is real.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I don't doubt it for a second.
Yeah, that's a water source that. Like if Tahoe disappeared,
we're in
because
trouble.
of what we're doing. Now we're hosed.
We're in a lot of trouble. Yeah. So mark that information right now. If Tahoe disappears, raise your apple juice.
Raise your apple juice. And I'm not, we definitely contributed to Lake Tulare disappearing. I'm certain of it. I'm just saying it's different.
Yes, I gotcha. I'm going to show you the video though because I want to see what you think because it was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we have a comment from the Fox and Owl Tavern.
Oh, wait a second! I know who that is. that is. We are being joined by the Fox and Owl Tavern, which happens to also be my wife, Jamie.
Hello, Jamie.
Hello, Jamie.
If it is in fact Clayton on the Good Cops TV, that means that it's essentially just your neighborhood in Sunland is watching this show.
Let's get Heather, Emerson, Emmy. Let's get the whole gang on here.
Oh, so sorry, but what did
you have to say?
She had said the fan goes into the cooler filled with ice.
Oh, she's correcting my swamp cooler instructions. She heard me talking about it. She's like, that's not at all what we did.
Or frozen water jugs, and then blows. Well, I guess the air blows out of the PVC pipe.
Yeah, out of the PVC pipe. Yeah.
And then it feels like someone with a breath mint is blowing.
You got to admit, honey, that's what it felt like. By the way, I love that Here's what I love, Noel. Noel has been so excited to open up live to Facebook and YouTube. But the one thing that is a variant is that our own spouses and friends can come onto the show and correct what we're talking about.
They're just like, no, honey, that's not it.
I love it. I love it. So that's how you make a swamp cooler. And when you have it, it won't work.
It won't work. So we'll get back to the subject here.
It worked a little.
It worked a little bit. It helped a little bit. It's not great. Okay. So what about can I share a couple alternatives that could help to cool?
Yeah.
Let's share a couple.
Let's see what we can do because have we explained yet why it is the air conditioning is a problem?
According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, 87% of homes in the United States use air conditioning equipment. On average, use of this equipment accounts for 12% of our overall home energy usage. This equipment can also have a significant impact on the environment. So they're trying. So basically, to cool air, window AC units and whole house systems use fluorocarbon refrigerants. Older varieties of these refrigerants, such as hydrofluorocarbons, are being phased out after 2020. This is stuff that I had said.
Yeah.
This is because they are known to deteriorate ozone layer. So they're basically saying, it's a lot of energy being used. It takes a lot of energy to cool everything, especially cities like Las Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like nothing that we create now is 100% efficient.
Right.
Right. So it's not like you put in energy and then exactly that much energy becomes cold air, which means that it's perfectly balanced, which means that you could, and if it were more than perfectly efficient, then you could turn the air conditioner around and cool down the earth.
Right, exactly.
Right? Which is what lots of little kids say when they go, why can't we just put the air conditioner outside? Well, the reason is because it creates more heat than it actually creates cool. There's more heat that comes out of the air conditioner in the end than there is cold air.
Right.
Because of the amount of energy it takes and because of the reaction. So you're not gonna be able to cool down everything. In fact, you're gonna warm things up by having an air conditioner there. So you're making things hotter and you're using more energy, which is also contributing to making things hotter. And then the area inside obviously can be kept nice and cool. So if you do that a little bit, it's not the end of the world, but if you do that a lot, and the more we expand into different places where humans frankly don't belong, the worse it is for the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the bummer run.
There was a cartoon or movie where somebody was building a giant air conditioner to cool the world. I can't remember what it is. If any of our friends or family in the comments can remember, but it was like this giant machine, and that was the point. But it was, anyway.
To air condition the world?
Air condition the world.
Good. Yeah, or else you go like Bill Gates style and throw chalk up in the atmosphere. And
remember that? We did that on a podcast about the chalk in the atmosphere. Yeah. So here's some AC alternatives. You have something called evaporative cooling.
Okay.
The cooling system is best in arid climates where humid air feels cooler than dry air. The solution cools warm outdoor air by moving it over or through water-saturated pads.
Okay.
The air evaporates the water and is cooled by 15 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The cooler air is then pushed into the home as warm air is pushed out, creating a breeze effect that also cools the space. This system requires only a quarter of the energy needed for traditional refrigerant systems.
How many degrees?
Could be anywhere from 15 to 40 degrees.
Okay. I mean, say yes. Again, that's a solid solution, right?
Yeah.
But they're saying for arid climates, which means we're talking about places like Vegas and New Mexico.
Yeah.
So if you're 100 degrees, you're cooling down 15. Now it's 85.
Yeah.
That's livable.
Something.
That's livable.
But to our point earlier, people are spoiled. They felt what it is to walk through 68 degrees on a 110 degree day because the machine is doing all the hard work.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for it and you want to be good for the environment, then do it, man.
Yeah.
Set that sucker up.
You heard my
swamp cool it.
You heard my tricks earlier. Shower quickly before bed. Anyway, but although then that cuts into water conservation problems.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't win.
Well, it depends. Are you showering again the next morning?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it does.
Because you're sweating in your sleep.
You're sweating in your sleep.
Well, we're all gonna die.
What I was gonna say is, by the way, the showers before bed to cool off are literally 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We're talking ice water, dunk your body, blast, and you turn it off. You're not in there for more than a couple seconds.
Oh.
So it's really.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, right?
Jacob.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
I did good.
You did great.
I did good.
You're just going it for a couple seconds. You're not wasting that much water at all.
No, you're not really taking...
You sit in there, you turn on, blast, no! Then turn
exactly,
off.
because it's a kind of agony for a second, but it's a sweet agony. Because it's
sweet,
ice cold water all over and get your hair wet too.
Yeah.
And then you literally, when you walk out, you're like, I'm freezing.
Yeah.
And then as your body starts to warm, you're like, I think I can go to sleep now. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah, there we go. I did it.
Yeah.
I did good.
All right. So we got a swamp cooler.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a comment on Facebook.
Okay.
Kevin Brahman or Brayman?
Brayman. A huge fan, friend of the show, awesome guy.
He's a rocket scientist.
He is a rocket scientist. Well, he's a NASA.
And I'm wearing my NASA shirt today.
Hey. Kevin, go ahead.
It says, looking good, gentlemen.
Looking good. Oh, he just came to compliment our handsome appearance.
Mm-hmm. Much nicer. Your wife didn't even compliment her.
No, she just corrected my swamp cooler.
She came on and said we were kids.
She's like, well, actually.
That's the difference, right?
Well, actually.
And Clayton says, these boys crack me up. I miss them so much, even though I live right next door.
Even though I live right next door.
I'm still not sure. Still not sure if that's Clayton.
Yeah,
but we'll keep calling him Clayton.
All right, Clayton. Wink.
He won't disclose himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got to say something that proves the swamp cooler. Actually, the air conditioner thing was was a good.
It was a good.
That made me think, God, is it Clayton?
Yeah, because he kind of threw us off the trail.
I don't think Derek would have known that you made it an air conditioning system.
He does listen to me.
I'll bet Clayton called up Jamie and he's like, "Hey, Jacob is screwing up the swamp cooler description. Can you please jump on the show and tell him how to do it? Because you know that Jamie made the swamp cooler, not Jacob."
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. Absolutely, you are right. Yeah. I did not make it. She made it. Well, she made it because she saw her poor melting husband, and she's like, "He's gonna die.
Yeah.
I got to do something. I got to get him a machine that feels like fresh breath." Mentos breathing on him.
So she does love you.
She
loves me.
Even though you're both too handsome, I don't want to give you an ego.
Okay, so Kevin can give us a compliment, but Jamie, she's keeping it real.
Yeah.
She doesn't want big head syndrome.
She wants you humble.
Yeah, I get it. So here's another thing. Now, this is different than a regular fan. It's called a whole house fan.
All right.
So
tell me about this.
Yeah, and well, as in not a hole, as in a hole in the wall. So like WHOLE, a whole house fan
for the entire house.
Yeah. So it says typically a whole house fan is installed in the attic.
Okay.
And moves air up and out of the house.
Oh, our neighbors have this.
Really?
Our neighbors have this.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah. Yes. So you open up all the windows and doors, and then you turn on this fan.
It's
and
massive.
Then it sucks all of the heat that is in the house up through the roof and out, so that you can at least get it back to, well, like in a car or in a contained space like that.
Yeah.
It's particularly depending on what it's built with, right?
Yeah.
Or what it's built out of, and if it's well, my brain is not.
Take a drink
I'm
of
gonna
water.
say sealed.
Sealed.
But that's not the word I mean.
Like kiss from a rose on a grave.
Yeah,
seal.
Seal. Like when Seal comes to you and kisses you, and you just get hot.
Yeah.
But basically, like a car gets way hotter than temperature outside. All right?
Got it, yeah.
So, like, your house is getting hotter if you leave it there long enough. Then the temperature is outside, so you can suck all that out and get it kind of back to at least some kind of something that you can cool down and get into something normal. So anyway, that's like my neighbors have the same thing.
That's cool.
I am an absolute moron today.
Come here. Give me your hand. You're doing great. Give yourself some
There's
slack.
16 words in my head that I can't find,
Jacob. You're doing great, champ.
I'm mumbling through them.
You're doing great. What I'd like to know is if with the whole house fan, could you turn it on high enough? Noel's, for those just listening to the show, what you're hearing is Noel hitting his head against the microphone.
God, this is the last time I starve myself before podcasts. I can't talk. I'm looking for words and they're gone.
Step 1, chill out. Step 2, don't starve yourself before a podcast.
I can't think.
I love this so much. I love it. Well, I don't love that you're in pain. I love that
I'm a little stupid.
It's so funny.
All right.
What I was going to say is whole house fan, if you turn it on high enough, can you create like an up situation? Just take off with your house.
No, I think it's doing the opposite.
Oh, it's pushing you down.
I think it'll push the house down.
So if you turn it on too high, bye house. It's just going.
Yeah, 6 feet
anyway,
under.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so it can't be a fan. And also, if you have this, if it's a huge fan, you better be careful about going up to the attic. One false move, and you're ground beef.
You're going up with it.
You just wow.
Sounds like a great scene in a horror movie, or or like a James Bond film. That's how he gets him.
Maybe we should make
stop the fan.
Yeah. Maybe we should make eco-friendly horror movies where like people have installed green technologies, but they end up being like,
oh my god, that's
cook
amazing.
A guy with solar, a guy gets gotten an air wind turbine.
That is amazing.
I love it. The eco killer.
That reminded me of Willy Wonka.
Getting fried on the what are those? The solar panels.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He throws someone over the solar panels, and he gets the bird streamer syndrome, where he just lights on fire and explodes.
Yes, exactly. We're on to something, guys. We're on to something.
Willy Wonka.
It's the next Saw movie.
Do you remember when they drank the soda that makes you float up? The thing that they were afraid of was the fan.
The fan, and then they got a burp to come back down.
Yes.
Classic scene. Actually scared me a lot as a kid.
Oh, me too. I was horrified.
I remember being
going up there was trying to not get destroyed by the fan, but there's nothing they could do.
Yeah, those were intense scenes back then.
That was a scary movie.
I know, because it was like, especially the love tunnel, the boat.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Yeah.
If you've never seen the 1970s Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder,
That's
man,
the best one.
It is the best
so
one.
good. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's way better because the one with Johnny Depp was it was
Trash.
weird. Trash. At least said it.
It was trash. garbage. It was good, and it had schnozberries too.
Yeah, schnozberries. Schnozberries taste like schnozberries. Yes. All right, next
Clayton
one.
says, so does the attic door have to be open?
Let me read on here.
I don't actually think so.
It says the Department of Energy compares the cost of a whole house fan to a traditional window air unit. The fan system costs about 1 to 5 cents per hour of use, while a traditional system costs more than 17 cents per hour.
Wow.
Right.
So it saves a good amount, and it doesn't say anything about the door being open.
Yeah, I don't think that my neighbor's system was like that. I think there were vents throughout the house that helped it go up.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Yeah. Cost efficiency is important.
Yes, agreed. Because everybody's going to save their money.
But I'm going to sit here and be the bearer of bummer run news a little bit.
Okay, bring it.
Yeah, it might be more cost efficient to have the whole house fan sucking the air out and cooling things off a little bit.
Yeah.
But does it actually make you colder?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the truth.
And I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I mean, the wall fan probably in that bedroom. The air conditioning unit probably makes you a lot colder than the whole house fan does.
Yeah,
but it costs more money.
Yeah,
and it's worse for the environment. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is like you could also just sit there and be hot.
Yeah,
and that would be way more cost efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
than anything.
And the whole house fan might be loud. Like maybe you go to that guy's house and it's just like being in an airport. It's like, what was that? Yeah. Can I get you more tea?
Although I'll say fans make a difference. I remember when the air conditioning went out in our house last summer and it was hotter than the fires of hell.
Yeah.
Just having fans, just having air moving really helps.
It makes a huge difference, actually. Oftentimes, in my hot apartment days, a fan made all the difference. Yeah. Because as long as air is moving over you, even if it's hot, you can make it. You can survive. You really can. So anyway, if you do have outages or you're trying to cut costs and corners, because the recommended, I don't know if everybody knows this, the recommended setting for your air conditioning during the summer is 78.
What?
Yep.
Elise, that was amazing.
Elise is like, what? It's like, 78.
No.
During they're saying during the hot summer months when it's like real bad, they're saying 78 should be enough to get your house comfortable and livable and not kind of tax the system. And I'm with you, Elise, because if I had my druthers, it would be closer to 70, 69, because I grew up in
just made my son the happiest person on earth. When he hears the podcast and you go 70, 69, I don't know. Because he's 12. And right now, the only cool numbers on earth are 420 and 69.
Oh, and you dog.
And I'm like, do you even know what those numbers mean? No, like, they're just the cool numbers.
They're just cool numbers on the internet. Yeah. So
I mean, he knows what they mean now because I tell him too many things.
Because you're a good father who taught him what it means.
I mean, that's good. You're honest.
Yeah, well, he's got to know what he's getting himself into. He's
going to find out sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, I mean, for a young kid like that, you just said
I said it cool.
You did it. So every time we walk by, like I'll give you an air conditioning story. Yeah. We were walking by the air conditioner we went this past weekend to a gymnastics camp.
Yeah.
For my daughter.
Yeah.
And so we're in the hotel. We're walking up the stairs, and there was a wall unit on the way up the stairs that was cooling the place down, and it was at 68 degrees. And he goes, "Oh, so close!"
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. I feel you, Owen. I would have said the same thing, and I'm 42. Yeah. But, boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Yeah. But anyway, what were we talking about? Anyway.
I don't know, man. This show
is off the rails. I love it. All right. We're gonna do just a few more, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. So geothermal cooling.
Oh, do this one.
Okay. Like geothermal heating, the system takes advantage of the constant 54 degrees Fahrenheit temperature underground to cool liquid-filled pipes. While geothermal systems use energy to move liquid around, that little energy is introduced to cool air. According to the Energy Environmental Corporation, geothermal cooling is 43% more efficient than traditional methods.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, so maybe
if I haven't said this before, that's a really good idea.
3 times, baby. That's how you know you mean it.
I'm into the geothermal cooling concept because we're using what exists. I mean, you have to dig down and get the water down into it, right? But I mean...
But that's a sustainable thing if we built it.
You're just swirling the water in circles and cooling it down, and that's a really good idea.
Geothermal cooling. So maybe houses of the future, maybe what we're going to start developing and seeing more of are systems like this.
There's also a lot of water down there already.
Yeah, there is. So you like
Provides
it.
more jobs, too.
Yeah.
We're providing jobs.
Geothermal Cooling Company. We come in and install, so that would be a cool thing right there.
Oh.
Like that one?
I like it.
Okay. Radiant cooling.
Okay.
According to the Department of Energy, radiant cooling works by absorbing heat in a room through systems installed in the floor or ceiling.
Okay.
Typically, these systems use aluminum panels that circulate chilled water to absorb the heat. This type of cooling is best in arid environments, again, since condensation and mold can be a concern. So,
I mean, I think a lot of these are really good if it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
What concerns me is that particularly these days, you're talking about 120 degrees.
Yeah.
You have a family member who just moved to Palm Springs.
Yes.
Sending pictures of the thermometer. It's like 125 degrees.
Yeah.
It's like 15 degrees from 125. I mean, it feels a lot better to be at 110 degrees. But it ain't cold.
It's not cold. Still gonna cook your insides.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I'm with you. So these are things that'll help, but they're not the solution. Yeah. And then the last thing is something that it just says ceiling fans, and we've talked about that before.
I mean,
ceiling fans are
moving air around helps. It does.
It does.
And you can even create a Jacob certified swamp cooler to go with that fan, and
The Jamie certified.
Jamie.
Let's be honest.
Oh my gosh, Elise with the fire coming in right now, giving me a sick burn because she's right. It would be a Jamie certified swamp cooler.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Mentos, the fresh maker.
Because that's how it feels.
All right, before we wrap up out of here, here's a list of reducing AC energy use. Okay, I'm just going to fire these off right now. Okay, keep blinds and curtains closed during the day to prevent sunlight from heating your room. Okay, keep that sun out during the day during the hot summer. Sip icy drinks.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, get that apple juice and put ice in it. Right?
Yeah.
Agua. Have a water balloon fight.
Yeah.
Dip in the pool or play in the sprinkler.
Well, that's the thing
balloons
again.
Get everywhere.
Yeah,
the balloons do get everywhere, and then you got to pick up all that rubber, and then you've gone and create all the rubber that you're now going to be throwing away.
Scratch that. Don't have a water balloon fight. Only sustainable balloons.
That's such a bummer, run. Have a balloon fight.
Have a
It's
balloon.
fine.
Just enjoy your life. Jeez, we're all gonna die anyway.
This podcast, we had Dr. Mark Trexler come on, and the whole thing changed with our podcast.
I've lost all hope.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
I'm kidding.
I've swallowed a water balloon before.
Have you
I've swallowed a water balloon before.
Oh my God.
You have?
Are you okay?
Yeah. It was an accident. I popped it in my mouth and then...
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Is it still in there?
Probably.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, I don't think that ever leaves.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's how they'll identify Elise like 200 years from now.
Yeah,
They'll be
dental
like,
records,
oh, this is
or
the girl who ate a water balloon.
Well,
It's
I'm glad
right
you're
there.
okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you're all right. That's quite a thing to swallow. I love it.
Yeah, seriously.
Man, it does look like when I look at the Facebook, the YouTube live, it looks like there's so many comments there, but maybe it's just them. I don't know. Is there a lot?
Over the time.
Oh, yeah.
We just got a comment.
Oh, we did.
From Clayton. He says, are you saying if you live in a climate area that does get up to 120 degrees, would you need central air, AC, plus another alternative for the days when it's 90 degrees?
I mean, that's an idea, right? So you can have both alternatives for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think if you're... look, we have to keep improving the technology. That's really what it comes down to, because people aren't going to be moving out of the house they just bought in Las Vegas or in Palm Springs or anywhere.
They've got to live there.
They're not, or in New Mexico. We've moved there. We're in there. These solutions are all helpful. These are our way to do it. But the fact of the matter is air conditioning exists, and all of these places have air conditioning. A lot of these places are newer because people are moving to the desert after moving to the places where where it was easier to live, right?
Yeah.
So they're newer houses that have the central air, and if you have the central air, you're going to use it because people don't like to suffer.
Right.
It's what we're about. So really, it does come down to just continuing to make newer, better technologies. I think the geothermal thing is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting idea, and if you do it right and you organize it, you probably could cool a lot of places that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's just one of those things we got to keep an eye on and the ear out for, but that also. Look, when you're looking at places to live and where you're going, it is a better option for the environment if you are choosing a place that has water. Because if there's water, you can jump in the water. You can jump in the lake, in the river, in the stream, in the
cool
whatever.
down.
Yeah, that helps, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is just one of those things that when you have got 7 billion people on the planet and we're all trying to find a place to live, we're going to need to use some technology, and we're going to have to keep improving that technology. I think that's kind of just...
Yeah. And so
I mean, I would wish that this would be a better podcast.
I think to answer his question, it's a combination of things. I think that you have central AC, but maybe what we're suggesting is you try to implement other things to help get cool as well, so you're not so reliant on it. You know what I mean?
Save energy,
save. So get some fans if you don't have fans. Use those ceiling fans if you have them. Really find ways to keep that sunlight out during the day. Find ways to cool yourself so that you don't have to force that AC to fight so hard against that 115, 120 degree day. Now, there are exceptions, but just combinations, right?
Especially lights on during the day, too.
Lights on during the day, yeah. Turn your lights off.
There's also, like you can shade your air conditioner with like if you shade your air conditioner, then that helps to like shade that whole part of the roof. That helps to make things a little bit cooler. It cools down faster. There's things like that. I mean, there are people now who are putting like solar panels that are built on essentially like second roofs. So it's like you've got costs more money, and it's a real it's complicated, but it's better because now
it's basically cooling the house because you've got a shade.
You're shading while you're also creating energy, and then using that energy to power. So that's good, but that's also a lot to ask of a regular Joe who lives in or Jane,
just trying to get by,
or
Jay
Jenny,
or Joe
or Jan
or Johnson,
Jack,
or Joe,
Emily.
Yeah. So there's that kind of stuff is happening. I think it's just I think we just need to kind of get the conversation out there and get people to sort of realize that, look, if there's something you can do to cut it back a little bit, that is good. I mean, if you can suffer a little more, it makes a big difference. 78 degrees, right? Like to hear 78 degrees, that's a big statement, not just for Elise, that's for a lot of people to hear. Like, wait, I gotta live in 78 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm used to 72.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
But that little move, that 78 degree move, actually makes a pretty big difference. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's like 5-minute showers. It's like just those little adjustments, right?
Yeah, that little bit of suffering makes a big difference.
It does, and it's hard to do.
Yeah.
You heard at the beginning of the show, I went on a rant about how hard it was and all the tricks that we had, and so as soon as I had central air, I love having it. It's really hard for me to sit at 77, 78. I'm always like, can we just get a little bit colder? But it is those days that you go, hey, if I could pour myself an icy drink, sit here in my shorts. And for dinner, we didn't cook on the stove or oven. We got something that was cold, like a cold meal that you didn't require us to cook. You can probably help keep your house like not feeling too hot at all.
Yeah.
And so those are some
You
tricks.
Also get used to it.
You do.
That's the other thing is like people who live in the snow get used to being in the snow. Like when you're used to negative 30, then a 12-degree day is quite nice.
Quite nice.
Quite lovely.
Quite
right?
a warm
so
day.
If you're used to a 120-degree day, then a 100-degree day is fine.
Fine.
Right?
Yeah,
so it's
very
like
true.
you do adapt. So if you kind of start doing it, it's like not having food.
Yeah. You'll eventually get used to this.
Apparently you adapt. Which actually comes back to suffering, because that's part of what it is, right? You're like these bodies were meant to be put through some difficulties, some strife.
Yeah.
And then from that, they produce naturally what is needed for them to stay healthy and fit and live longer and do better. So, I mean, a bit of suffering is good for you pretty much anywhere.
It is. We've gotten very comfortable in the modern world. Very, very comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to list these off, and then we can get out of here. Check your attic ventilation. Your warm air rises to the top of your home. So if it's getting trapped up there, that's going to make your house hot. Open windows on opposite sides of the home and across rooms to create cross breezes. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you know that. Keep the oven off. Put your pillow in the freezer to cool it down before going to bed. I don't think I can fit my pillow in my freezer. I'm going to do the cold packs, though. But I love the idea of your whole pillow.
In a freezer.
There's a tip right here.
So, I think about my freezer in my house.
Right? Mine's full of stuff.
I think about the freezer and how much is in there.
Right.
Like a pillow in
just
the
a
freezer.
Giant pillow.
How big is this pillow?
Yeah, exactly. What do they think I use?
Right.
Wow. Change the air filters on your home air handling system, furnace, or otherwise on a regular schedule.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Install a programmable thermostat. We've talked about that plenty of times. Seal and caulk around doors, windows, and foundations to keep out. So these are all things, trying to keep your environment nice and cool.
There's that seal word again.
Seal word. It's back.
Keep it sealed, baby.
There's Close out with Hill. But that was it, guys. It was. I know we covered a lot around. We were all over the map today, but that's why you watch. That's why you listen.
That's why you watch. Listen.
You want to watch Noel starve and get delirious.
Let's see how many delirious episodes we can do in a row before people go like this podcast. Show's a joke.
Hey man, if we want to become the Joe Rogan of environmental podcasts, I've listened to that.
Joe Rogan wants to become.
But what I'm saying is, I've listened to that show.
The Biofriendly podcast of not environmentalism.
I've listened to that show, and there are plenty of absolutely all over the map tangents, weird, random stories and things, and people love it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying they love this too.
They do?
They like it when you're delirious.
Okay, I'll stay delirious. Stay delirious.
Stay delirious. Is that a tag?
That's a tag.
That's a tag if I've ever heard one. Stay delirious.
Because nobody really uses delirious.
Yeah, it's not around. It hasn't been used as often anymore. So let's add that to the show.
All right.
So guys, that's it. Any parting words before we head out?
I don't know. I think you know what? I think that in the end we did arrive on something.
We did. Absolutely, we did.
I think it was a very circuitous route with a lot of nonsense.
Great word.
But we did arrive at something, which I think is just understand that
69 is a funny number.
That's what we learned, Elise.
It's
Thank
a
you.
hilarious number, and much better when it comes to temperature than 420.
Yes,
which is the other cool number.
Absolutely. But we did arrive on something.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
What was that?
Suffer a little bit. That's
air conditioning it's kind of being relied upon too much. So find alternate ways to keep cool if you can.
Again, we're like about little adjustments. So you just cut back a little bit, and then you find take that hot quick shower.
Yeah,
cold quick shower.
Cold quick shower.
I'm thinking like hot awesome. Do it fast, baby.
Do a hot quick cold shower.
God, I'm stupid.
No, you're great.
Wow,
you're great. We all love you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's good. I mean, you'll love me whether I'm stupid or not. So
exactly. In a lot of ways, it makes us love you more.
Quick cold shower.
Quick cold shower.
You know, like the cloth around your neck. Sleep in the nude.
Yes.
Let's swamp cool that action.
Fans. Cold apple juice.
All these kinds of things, and then don't do other extra things to heat up your house for no daggum reason. And then 78 degrees.
There you go.
78 degrees. It's a little hotter than you like, but it's better for the environment.
Those were the bullet points. Well done.
Yeah.
We are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Carefully avoiding neonicotinoids.
We are the Siegfried and Roy and Meryl Streep of podcasts.
This show is a joke.
Never believe.
Step 1, chill out.
Spilling the teeth since 2019. And then now, stay delirious.
Stay delirious.
Stay delirious. So that's it from us.
That's mine. You said it. You said it, but I was supposed to say it. That's mine too.
You looked at me like you didn't know who I was.
Who are you? Who are you who would steal my line?
So say it again.
Stay delirious?
That's the one. Thanks for joining us this week on the Biofriendly Podcast. Thanks for everybody who came into the live. Clayton,
yes.
Derek, and Jamie, and Kevin Brayman.
And everybody else, remember to come on the show live. You get to talk to us and make fun of us as we go, which is a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
And also, don't forget to tell your friends. Here's why you tell your friends. When they're talking about, when they're living their life, minding their own business, they're saying to themselves, hey, I've got all these things. I like this show, I like that show, but I'm still looking for a good podcast or whatever. And you say, hey, do you give a hoot about the environment? And they'll say, yeah, but I hate environmentalists because they're the worst.
Because they're bummers and they're always shaming me and making me feel bad.
Yes, and I hate having to change my life upside down with all this so complicated, and I don't know what to do, and who cares, we're all going to die anyway.
Yeah.
Then you say, you know what you need is you need to listen to the Biofriendly Podcast because they're absolutely stupid. But they're funny and they tell you a thing or two about the environment.
He's being so hard on himself.
Yeah. No, and that's a good thing. So you can tell your friend, tell people like, hey, check this out because you will save the planet. The way we save the planet is one person at a time, making little changes like 78 degrees.
Yes.
And you learn those by listening to the Biofriendly Podcast and having a laugh.
Yeah.
While you read it.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Cheerio.
Bye.
There she is. She's back.
We did it.
We did it, everybody.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.